What's going on, Omnibuddies? Mitch here, and today we are doing another Omnibuddy overview. What are we looking at today? We are looking at Kieron Gillen's and Dan Mora's hardcover slipcase edition of Once and Future. All right, so before we get into it, this is by Boom Studios. There was a big kerfuffle with this book when it came out, like the Something is Killing the Children stuff, where I don't know what they did with it, but the FOC, the final order cutoff, they put it really close to the print date and the release date, so they grossly underprinted the book, and they had to allocate, which means not even though stores took pre-orders, they couldn't fulfill all the pre-orders because Boom didn't print enough of the pre-orders to fulfill them all. So stores kind of got looked bad because they're people who pre-ordered, they couldn't fulfill those pre-orders. So there's a big thing with it. Like Something is Killing the Children, I believe they did a whole bunch more, or there's more coming. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're fixing it. Got to wait a little while, but I finally got my copy in, and actually as of the making of this video, it's in about another day, if you're watching this video right when it drops, I'm giving away my other copy of this book that is still sealed. It is the slipcase edition, so head over to that giveaway video on my account and over on Instagram and try and win a copy, because you can either win this or a copy of the trade paperback version of JLA and Avengers crossover event by the awesome George Perez and tons of other people, and with the Heroes Initiative, and great stuff there. So both of those books are being given away. Anyways, let's get right into it. Let's lay this down on the table and find out if this book is any good. Spoiler, it is. All right, so here is a quick look at the slipcase. We have Once in the Future. This is again by Boom Studios. Got Kieron Gillen, Dan Mora, Deluxe Edition, Book 1. And then the back is also the same. It's got that cool foil for the crown, which is pretty sweet, and foil on the text, which is cool. And then let's open this up. That's backwards. Here, let's open it front ways. There we go. Put that slipcase off to the side. And this is the cover. I guess I'll put it down so I'm not wiggling it all over the place. Wiggle, 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 yeah. Anyways, it's got cool spot gloss UV on here, which is super cool. And it's like a dragon-y lizard wolf thing on both sides, which is super cool. And then just, yeah, glossy text. And then this part is actually raised, which is cool. And it's all kind of indented and all that, but this is kind of raised, indented right there too. Super cool. There is the spine, very similar. Got a little glossy skull there. And then on the back, little gloss around the skull. And then this does retail for $60 USD. So let's get right into it. Let's flip it open. Got some, some orange end sheets, which if you know me, you know the channel, follow me on Instagram, you know I love end sheets and when they do stuff with it. So a little disappointing it's not some cool end sheets in there, but it's a nice color that matches everything. So that's cool. That's all right. It's at least not just black or gray, which is nice. We got the about the book and the creators and all that. And then we have chapter 1. I believe this is 18 chapters. Something like that. Yeah, I think it's 18 chapters, 18 issues. And let's get right into it. So you basically get thrown in. This is all taking place in Britain. You kind of get thrown in super quick. They find this the sheath scabbard for a sword, and a bunch of archaeologists and people show up and they take it. And that kind of kicks us right into high gear, which is super cool. And then you immediately jump to a elder assisted living facility and kind of this strange lady, and you get to know that she is not to be trifled with. And she, Gran is not one you want to mess with, and she knows what she's doing and she knows what she's talking about, and don't mess with her. And you do not have to wait very long for, obviously, stuff to kind of hit the fan. and it immediately hits the fan. I mean, first chapter, and there's that little wolfy, snaky dragon lizard dude that was on the cover. And yeah, you get right into it, and you start finding out all kinds of things about, you know, the old myths and legends of King Arthur and all that. Were they real? Were they not? And well, I guess little spoiler, they are mostly sort of true, changed over time, and gets real fast. And you got these crazy witches and all this crazy stuff going on, and really cool art. I gotta say, Dan Mora's art is just out of this world. And I do got a who did colored by Tamara Bonavillin, and dang, is that color great. I love the coloring of this book. The art is just bonkers, and the color is just so perfect for it, and the writing, it just all matches so well. And it's not a book for kids. As you can see, peeps get like lopped in half and lopped apart super hard. And so it's, you know, telling the story of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round, and trying to, you know, like, what are they going for? What's their motivation? And what are they really trying to do? And things just get nuts, and you're kind of just tossed in the deep end, which is perfect because her son, grandson, who, you know, he's kind of the main guy in here, he gets tossed in the deep end too, and he's not sure what the heck is going on, and he's just following his gran and listening to what she is saying. And kind of each chapter tosses a new thing at you about the lore, and brings in new people and new characters, and just keeps like upping the ante, and things get weird, and you kind of have this whole setup of like underground people who fight for the world, and how that interacts with the government is a big thing. So and why we have not heard about any of this stuff, and how it's all kept secret. And it gets pretty cool, and it gets pretty interesting. There's a couple points in here, you know, maybe towards, you know, the last, kind of right before the last part of the arc hits, it got a little bit long-winded for me. Still some pretty interesting stuff. I was like, all right, let's get this going a little bit, keep moving. But still had some really interesting character development and things like that. So it was definitely cool and worth it. But definitely the pace just seemed to kind of slow and hit a little bit of a lull. And it seemed like we were kind of going back through some of the same stuff, which was a little, I don't want to say disappointing or anything like that, but I was kind of like, all right, let's get going. I kind of pushed through, and then it just, you know, kind of that calm before the storm, and then it just hits, and it hits hard, and you're like, what in the world is going on, and how is this all going to play out, and how are they going to overcome these things? And man, this color and these pages are just nuts, friggin' nuts. And how it all works out, and it's a really cool twist on all these tales and bringing them together, and how they have to work through it and use these tales to their advantage and play things out and work together. And dang, it's pretty cool. So we'll get, let's see, try not to show too much. So then at the end we have the cover gallery, which covers on these books are really good. Super cool stuff. A lot of Camelot, Knights of the Round, King Arthur. Really cool stuff. Really cool cover pages. And not necessarily covers I'd want to own, because they're a little bit freaky, and I like to be able to display my stuff and not have like death and gloom and creepy, and my kids to see it and get, you know, nightmares or something for the rest of their lives, or at least for the next year or so. But really good art that I can really appreciate, and then some cool character design stuff in here. And then that is the end. Long live the king. And then that's that. And that's the end. And we got a skull and crossbone. Well, not crossbone, but skull. You know, whatever. Let's get that in focus. There we go. So that's that. So let's get that back in the slipcase. And, well, you know, let's not put it in the slipcase. Now you can just kind of see it there. Boom. That is the slipcase and deluxe edition. I'll say, if you don't buy the slipcase edition, the deluxe edition of hardcover is this book. It's the exact same book. It just doesn't have the slipcase. And I know that Organic Price Books just got a ton of these slipcases in, and you can buy them for $10 plus $4 shipping. So it's like $14 for the slipcase, which is a little bit steep, but it's basically because it's not a book, so they can't ship it media mail. So they are basically charging you $14 to be able to ship it to you and not take a big loss. So if you do want the slipcase, and when the book was allocated and all you could get was the deluxe oversized hardcover, now you can at least just buy the slipcase if you really want to get the slipcase, and it is exactly the same like UPC code and everything, exact same thing that you will get if you bought the slipcase edition. Which I know some people are like, oh, it's the limited edition slipcase. Well, with collected edition hardcovers in comics, just so you know, nothing is ever limited edition. I've seen signed, numbered limited editions get reprinted. I've seen just, you know, straight up like, here, we're only printing so many, this is it. And, you know, 2 years later, 3 years, 10 years later, hey, we're back in print. It happens. Unless you're a diehard collector of something, generally you can just wait it out, it seems like, with collected editions. But if you just bought the deluxe hardcover edition, you'll get the exact same book that is in the slipcase. You can buy the slipcase edition together. I think it's like 10 or 15 bucks more, 20 bucks more for the slipcase edition. Or if you already bought this and you do want the slipcase, another 14 bucks from OPB. Hey, you can use that code Omnibuddy. So it'd be like 12 bucks shipped, and you can get the slipcase for your deluxe edition if you already have it. Or say your slipcase came pretty beat up and damaged and you want a new one, there you go. All right, so that's a quick look at Once and Future. All right, so that was a quick overview. Hope that gave you a good taste of what you're getting into if you're going to dive into this book. I really did enjoy it. It took me a little while to kind of get the groove of things and kind of get into the feel of it. But then it was super interesting, super cool way of telling a story, super original, really. So that was pretty fun. The only real issue that I had with it is you got to know a lot of those stories in and out. Otherwise, you're just kind of having to play catch up while you're reading and make guesses from the dialogue, which they do a pretty decent job of, you know, bringing the people who don't know all these, the ins and outs of all these stories. 'Cause I know a lot of these stories decently, but not very thoroughly, you know, all the King Arthur's court and who all the different knights are and their different virtues and things like that. I don't know enough about any of that to really take from the name to the context and what the whole story is going to be about and what they need to do. So I was kind of having to be led along for the ride as I read it through the characters' dialogue and as they're explaining it to other characters. So that wasn't the best thing. I don't mind being led along, but when I feel like, oh, I very much enjoy this, I'd enjoy this story a lot more if I knew these other stories more thoroughly. So that was kind of the only real downside to it. It started to feel a little bit long, but overall, which was weird because it made some pretty big jumps in time, it seemed like, where people were getting used to their roles and things like that. So they made these big jumps, but it still felt a little long at some points, which was a little weird. But overall, it had a pretty decent pacing, really cool storytelling. Like I said, very original. Dan Mora's art is just killer always. I love his stuff. If you have not read the Klaus books, which is like this gritty Grant Morrison telling of Santa Claus and his origins, super cool books, great art by Dan Mora. This again just continues the whole legacy of Dan Mora and his art being outstanding. And Kieron Gillen is so good. Kieron's storytelling is great, always super good. But those things I mentioned before are probably my biggest beefs with it. And really, they weren't huge things for me. The book still scooted along pretty well. And, you know, it could have been like maybe a couple issues shorter, but in the grand scheme of all those issues, that's not very long. And I enjoyed the world enough to definitely be in the world longer. And I'm excited to see if they come out with more and where the story continues from here, because obviously at the end they do leave it open for more tales and more cool stories like that. So excited to read more. It was a very fun read, very original, like I said. That's it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are interested in picking this up, make sure to hit up the channel sponsor, Organic Price Books. Use code Omnibuddy for $2 off every order. If you're ordering 3 or more books at the same time, use code Omnibuddy, ship it together, all one word, and you'll save 5% on your entire order. Be careful if you're pre-ordering books, because you're going to be waiting for all the pre-orders to come in, all those books be ready to ship together. So maybe if you're going to use that code, buy all the books that are in stock together on that code, maybe pre-order using the Omnibuddy code. That supports a great company like Organic Price Books that's only been in business for just over a year now. Super cool dudes, JP and David. Supports the channel, which is awesome, and gets you some awesome books at a really great price with great communication, great packaging, all that. Anyways, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, do all those things, but of course, most importantly, comment. I love talking with you all about what you're reading, what you're buying, what you're selling, what you're dealing with as a collector. Love doing all that stuff. Love talking about the hobby and comics in general with all of you. So hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know, is there other stories like this that pull from not necessarily like King Arthur and all that, but any other kind of lore? Like Hellboy does a great job pulling lore. Sandman, all those do really cool stuff, pulling all these different lores and mythologies and things like that. Any cool books that you'd recommend to me that are shorter one-off books that I could get into and get some cool lore or world expansions and cool twists on old tales? Let me know in the comments. All right, that's it. Take care, stay cool.